So, welcome to Lesson 2 for ZoxSo, the new ancient game. This is David Weinstock, and today we'll be covering a little bit of review from Lesson 1 to reinforce some of the rules, and to once again go over the pieces and the board structure, and possibly cover a little bit in the way of placement strategy and perhaps some moving tactics. We'll see if time allows. If not, we will cover those things in Lesson 3. So anyway, as we saw in the first video, there are three basic pieces in the game of ZoxSo. Each side, dark and light. It's a two-player abstract strategy game, as you know already. Each side, the dark pieces and the light pieces, consists of 10 pieces divided as follows. If you'll notice that the symbols on the two stacks of pieces in front of you here are three different types of symbols. I will go over them using the dark pieces here. This little mandala icon is the front side of the zing. Let's take a little bit of a zoom in on that. Let's see if we can get it a little bit clear here. So that is the zing, and the back side, or the colored image side, has a dragon crown on it. There is one dark in the set of the zing piece, and one light in the set for the zing piece. So we'll turn that back over. You can see on the light piece it's also got a dragon crown. Each side has one of these little babies. Let's moving over to the ma, or the horse. We can see that there are four of them here in this stack. Notice light has a stack of four and dark has a stack of four. And on the other side of this little galloping legs image, we see a three-headed horse, and that is the ma, or horse. Now there are five of these little guys for each side. This is called the dao, or dagger. Notice the symbol's a sharp pointed throwing star type of thing over here. And on the reverse side of that symbol is this dagger image. Each side has five of these, so you have a total of 10 pieces per side. 4 horses, 5 daggers, and 1 zing. Now, as we know in ZoxSo, let's go over to the board here, and I'll take the zings over here. On the ZoxSo board, you can see that the structure. We'll do an overview of the game board here first of all. See that the way the board looks here. We've got 2 overlapping grids, a grid of stones and a grid of pearls. And on the board, we like to think of these as being 2 separate dimensions. The first and most notable feature of the board is this golden stone in the center of the board, golden colored stone. That's called the throne. And the object of the game is to get one of the 2 zings, either by moving or flipping onto the throne, to the golden throne. That's an instant winner, to be able to either move onto the throne or to flip onto the throne. If either side gets there, it's instantly game over through movement or through flipping. And as we also know, no piece except for the zing may end its turn on the golden throne. In other words, it is not allowable for any piece to block the golden throne, and the only piece that can end its turn or its move on the golden throne is the zing, and if it does so, that's game over. Now let's look at some of the other features of the board. You notice these little round shapes, we call them pearls. There's a whole grid of 64 pearls on the board. It's a grid of 8 by 8 pearls. And these other features are called stones. They're sort of an octagonal shape. And there's a grid of 7 by 7 of those, or 49 stones. And the next most prominent feature is this wall image that surrounds the entire grid of pearls that surround the golden throne. And that wall is a barrier during the game to any pieces that are on the board displaying their silver icons side up while they're on the pearls. So any piece on the board that is on a pearl outside the wall or inside the wall may never move across the wall. That is a prohibited activity. Whether it's dark or light, no capturing or movement on the part of a piece on a pearl can ever move or capture or use a chain effect across the wall. Now, we're going to cover individually as review from Lesson 1 the various movement capabilities of the pieces in ZoxSo. As we've discussed before, the zing, when it is on a pearl, has the ability to move exactly like any of the other pieces that are on a pearl, like a little checker. No matter where it is on a pearl on the board, it can move one at a time through the passageways, and that's for purposes of movement or capturing. In order to capture a piece in ZoxSo, you simply move to the space that the captured piece was on, and you take it out of the game permanently. It is out of the game and it will never come back. These pieces, again, cannot move through the wall. That is prohibited. No capturing is permitted through the wall. But they also have a special ability. They can move in chains. Namely, any group of 2 or more of these silver icons, no matter which ones they are, as long as they are any group of the same color, dark or light. It could be 2, it could be 10, it could be all your pieces. As long as they are adjacent to each other, and I'm going to set up here an adjacent pattern on the pearls, as long as they are adjacent to each other in any pattern of any kind where they're connected, you can draw a line to connect the dots. Any member of the grouping can move or capture onto any adjacent pearl of any other member of the group. So, for example, this guy right here, because he's connected to all of these other guys, and this one is adjacent to this piece that could be captured, he can move from a very distant place through the body of his brothers and capture a piece, or just move to an adjacent pearl that is adjacent to any one of his brothers. So that's basically the types of movement that the icons or Zox sides of the pieces can take. And one important point about the game is that on its turn, any piece that's on a pearl has the ability to either move in the dimension that it's in, namely in this case the pearls, or it can flip onto any adjacent but unoccupied stone and then make a move like the piece that's on the other side up on top of the stones. And we'll cover movement on the stones here briefly in a minute. But so you would, if you wanted to flip this maw, you would flip it onto an adjacent empty stone, and then you can make a move with it according to its movement pattern if you want. You don't have to, you could just sit there. In the case of the maw, that movement pattern is in the shape of a little L. 3 stones by 2 stones, or 2 stones by 3 stones. So he could also move like so. Now you'll notice that this move is exactly like a knight in the game of chess, and that's for purposes of movement or capturing. So in this situation, this maw could take this dagger if he wanted to. And notice also that since flipping and moving on a turn is possible, I could put this dagger way over here and have this maw be quite a ways from it, and he could flip up onto this stone and then take the dagger on the same turn if he wanted to. Okay, now let's cover the movement of the dagger itself, and let's turnabout is fair play. So let's stick a maw all the way up there at the far end of the board, and I'll put this dagger right here, and we'll cover this movement. This dagger could move just like any other Zox piece in this dimension, or he can flip and sit there onto an adjacent empty stone and then move exactly like a rook in the game of chess, and he could take off this knight on the same turn if he wanted to. Now we'll cover the zing. The zing, in this situation, these two zings are each close to the golden throne, and each of them, let's say, have a number of different things that could either take them or which they could take. And so we'll illustrate some things that are going on here. Let's put this here. Now in this situation, if it was white to move, white has a couple of different winning options. He could either flip and move onto the golden throne, game over, or he could take this maw, but of course it's better to move on to the golden throne. Or another way to win here in this situation would be to flip this dagger and capture the opposing zing. Likewise, in this position, if it's dark's turn, dark has a number of different ways to move here. He could either move his zing directly onto the golden throne, or he could capture the opposing zing like so. And those are the ways that the zing moves. Notice also that if I were to put this zing here, he also has the option of winning by either flipping onto the golden throne, or if he really wanted to add insult to injury here to his opponent, he could flip onto the throne and then capture the opponent's zing, thereby, well, let's say he would do it slightly differently here, because as soon as he touches the golden throne, it's game over, and that's in the rules. But let's say he were to do this instead. He could either flip up onto the golden throne, or he could flip onto this stone and capture the opposing zing. Either of those two ways would win. But notice also here that if it were the dark zing to move in this position, he could either move on to the golden throne to win, or if he wanted to add insult to injury, he could flip down onto a pearl and then move in the other dimension to capture his opponent's zing. So those are the basic movement patterns of ZoxSo. Remember that, again, no piece may block the golden throne. No piece may end its turn on the golden throne except for the zing. If the zing does it, it's game over. If an opposing piece flips up onto the golden throne, he must immediately move off of it according to his movement pattern. So if he moves up onto the golden throne, he must immediately move away somehow. Okay, so now I think we're going to just really quickly show you the setup in the game. There's no pre-setup, as you know, but the way that the game starts is that starting with the player of the dark pieces, dark places any one of his silver icons or Zox pieces onto any pearl that is outside the wall, anywhere around the entire board. No one controls any territory to begin the game. And after dark places one, then light places one. And the placement of your pieces is totally up to you, as long as you place on a pearl outside the wall with the silver icon face up, Once everything is on the board, dark starts moving first. We recommend that you place your zing last, whether you're dark or light, or you can get into serious trouble to tactics that will hunt down the zing or just capture them outright. So that's lesson 2 for ZoxSo and the New Ancient Game. Game designed by David Weinstock, published by Mindspan Labs. Thank you very much. We'll look forward to seeing you in lesson 3. Bye-bye for now.